Hey guys, it's Mrs. Travis. I'm going over the last three problems in your assignment for this week. I want to get started so that the video is not too long. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the first problem, problem number 14, you have to find the perimeter of this composite figure here. Looks like you have a trapezoid and a semicircle. Okay, so there are two different sections that you need to take into consideration. This first I'm highlighting in yellow. So this is the perimeter where they give us the dimensions. We know the length, so it's easy for us to add up those three numbers to get that length. What we don't have is what I'm highlighting in blue here, this length, this curved length, or the outer perimeter of the semicircle portion. So to find the length of that blue highlighted piece, we're going to have to use our circumference formula. So remember, there are two different formulas to use. One circumference formula, we use the radius. The other circumference formula, we use the diameter. Because they give us the radius here, so I'll highlight the radius in red. The radius here in red is 9. They give us that. So we're going to use the circumference formula that involves using the radius. That formula is something you need to know by heart, but it is capital C equals 2 times pi times r. And r I'll do in green, okay? So we know that the radius, I'll re-highlight it in green, is right here. This is the radius. And they tell us that the radius is 9. So because the radius is 9, we're going to use substitution. We're going to take the r out of our formula, and we're going to put the number 9 with parentheses in its place. The next thing we need to do is we need to replace our pi symbol with the number we use for pi. So I'm going to erase my pi symbol here in my formula and replace it with the number 3. Let me also erase the 2. It's too big to fit everything. It is going to be 3.14. Okay, and then I'm going to put my 2 back in there. I just erased it because I didn't have enough space. All right, so those three numbers, if we multiply them together, that will give us the circumference of a full circle. So we're going to have to divide it by 2 because we only have a semicircle. But really quickly, our full circle here is 2 times 3.14 times 9. So if we had a full circle, our circumference would be 56 and 52 hundredths. We don't. We have a semicircle, so we're going to have to divide that by 2. And when we divide that amount by 2, we end up with a length of 28 and 26 hundredths inches. So that's how long this blue highlighted piece is. It is 28 and 26 hundredths inches long. So now that we know that length, we can next find the perimeter by adding all of those four numbers together. So the perimeter equals, and I'll mark each number off as I add it to the equation so I don't double count. 5 plus 12 plus 5 plus 28.26. All right, and if you do all that addition correctly, you will get 50 and 2600 inches. That's the perimeter for number 14. So scrolling up, we're going to move on to number 15. So number 15 involves a figure that has two semicircles in it. and I'll highlight those perimeters in blue. If we were able to put these two semicircles together, they would equal a full circle. So all in all, we're dealing with a full circle here in this figure. So we have those lengths that we need to find before we can add them all up. We also have this length here that I highlighted in pink. We can find that one pretty easily if we look across to the other side. It's equivalent to 3 feet. Okay, so we can safely assume that for this problem. So now that we have that missing piece, we just need to find the circumference of this full circle that's been separated in this figure. Okay, so there are two different ways to find circumference. You can use the radius or you can use the diameter. In this problem, they're giving us the diameter. So I will highlight what I'm talking about in blue. So here's the diameter here. That's the diameter. Okay, and that's the dimension that we have. Okay, we also have the diameter. It's the same length on the opposite side right here. Okay, to find that length, we know that the whole thing is 12 feet. Okay, the whole thing is 12 feet. All right, so that's this whole thing right here is 12 feet. Okay, we have two dimensions of the 12 feet. We have 3 and 3. So 3 and 3 equals 6. So the leftovers is going to be 6. So the diameter must be 6 feet. Again, to see that, you have to think about all these 3 numbers. When you add them together, they need to equal 12. So we have 3 plus 6, which is 9, plus another 3, which is 12. So we know that dimension is 6 feet. That's the diameter. Okay, so we're going to use our circumference formula. Capital C for circumference equals, and this time we're going to use the diameter. Diameter D times pi. Okay, so the only thing left to do now that we have our formula is to plug the diameter in and also substitute the symbol pi for its number. So I'm going to use my eraser here. I'm going to erase the D. I'm going to put 6 in its place because that is the diameter, and I'm going to use parentheses to place it inside of my formula carefully. Next, we're going to erase pi. Whoops. And we're going to put 3.14 in its place. So to find the circumference of the blue highlighted portion, which is the perimeter of the blue highlighted portion, we need to multiply 6 by 3.14. We end up with 18 and 84 hundredths feet. So collectively, both semicircles, both portions, are 18 and 84 hundredths feet. We don't need to divide this by 2 because we have 2 of them. So we have a full circle here. So we have the full circumference this time. So the only other thing left to do to find the full perimeter is to add all of these numbers together. And I will mark the numbers off as we go so I don't double count. Okay, and I'm not going to do any combining in my addition. I'm just going to add each number one at a time. So be patient, just for details. So I have 3 plus another 3. I'm going to skip over here to this next 3. Another one. And then this final 3 here. The only other thing we need to add is the length of both semicircle perimeters. And we know that length to be 18 and 84 hundredths, okay? So the last thing to do would be to add all of these numbers together correctly. And when you add them together correctly, you get 36 and 84/100 feet. That's going to be the perimeter of this figure here. I'll stop here so the video is not too long and make another video for number 16.